Another air cover back there. In the case of this one, some of them are actually sealed off. But in the case of this one, you've got covers, hatch covers, so you want to make sure your hatch covers, you can get into them. It doesn't matter which boat you're in. You probably want to put some Vaseline on the threads of the hatch cover to make sure that you open it. Thing is, a lot of times it will get damp on the inside, and sometimes these hatch covers are dang near impossible to open up, especially after your hands get wet and wore out. So I definitely, on any hatch covers, you want to make sure that you put Vaseline around the threads. So is anybody racing anything other than an aluminum? Because if you guys are aluminums, then we'll focus mainly on the aluminums. So is that aluminum? Okay. All right.
You all aluminum? You're aluminum?
Yep.
Okay, let's move to aluminum.
All right.
Don't mind me, I'm just videoing you guys learning today.
So we're going to talk about the foam now. I've got some examples here. This is all closed cell foam right here. This is what you want to use for your jug holders. In this aluminum, you can see she's got it up here, and this is dual purpose. This is for flotation. It's also the foot brace on your aluminum. I highly recommend. Sometimes
you guys go ahead and go in and
they'll
get
put a foot brace across there, a piece of the aluminum down there to put your feet on. I kind of prefer this. It's, you know, anything I say is there's different ways to do it. I'm just giving you my experience. But this is better because you've got the forward flotation on your boat, and you've also got something that you can push on, you know. So in terms of the flotation, as I said, the jug foam counts as flotation.
Everybody see the jug foam? See how it's cut off? Okay.
So talk about gluing the foam into the boat.
Go ahead and just get on up there, guys.
There's all sorts of glues that you can use.
Okay.
I like contact cement. It works good. It's tried and true. You can buy it in the spray can like this, which is what I like to use because it's easy. You can buy it in these smaller cans, which I think is nice as well. You probably have to need a couple of these, but it's got a little brush on there. You guys have probably seen it. Or if you want to go the cheap way, you can buy the bigger cans. They even sell it in gallon cans. And I recommend for application that you just get these cheap brushes like this. And you can see I've cut that one off. You know, you're not worried about pretty. You're worried about getting enough glue on there to hold it down. The other thing is when you put your jug foam in, there's curvature to the boat. So you want to make sure that you put something heavy once you put it in. The contact cement will dry, it'll set up pretty quick, but you want to put something heavy to kind of hold it down until it sets up. I have put it in there and kind of walked away, and then you get in the river and it pulls off. And that's no good. You don't want that because then you don't have a good way to hold your jugs in or anything like that. So make sure you have good contact with the with the surface of the boat. Now, one thing I'll say, Holly this is Holly's boat, and she's a very knowledgeable person. So, but one thing I like to do is, like on this piece here, you can see it's raised. This was for a different boat, but it's good if your water can pass underneath your foam. Otherwise, you create a dam. And if you put any gear in there, it doesn't let the water move around. So if you put a bilge pump in here, I think one of the other guys is going to talk about that, you want to make sure you have plenty of free access for the water to get to your bilge pump. You don't want to try to, you bury the front end going down a rapid, and then all the water's trapped at the front end of the boat, and you're trying to get the boat so you can get the water back to the pump, So I highly recommend make sure you cut some channels or you raise it up a little bit so that the water can pass under your jug foam.
So on that one, where there are two more standoffs on each end, so that you got 3 points, or was it all held on just the middle?
So this one was held here, and you can see I had glued this one. This was for a different boat, by the way. It wasn't for that. That is typically the way that you would do your aluminum canoes. I would just say that you cut a groove on the bottom before you glue it so that the water can, it just helps the water move freely through the boat. Yeah, that's just a suggestion. This one, you can see he put put these little pieces on here to kind of keep it up off, and it's glued in spots like that. You just got to make sure if you do something like that, your contact area is not as great, you know, the glue. So you want to make sure that if you flip the boat over, this piece stays in place and it serves as flotation. In terms of cutting the foam, you can do a really nice, this is old, but you can do, it doesn't have to look pretty, is what I'm going to say. This one, I used a router. You can see the edges are nice and round. I used a router. I did the edges here. I wanted it to look pretty. And but it doesn't have to. Here's one from another boat that somebody used. And you can see they just kind of hacked at this. And you'll see a lot of boats where it's just hacked away. And if you can live with it and it sticks to your boat and it holds your jugs in place, A-okay. It doesn't have to be pretty. I like it to look pretty. You know, when I'm tired, you know, 200 miles into the race, I don't want to be sitting there, for me, looking at my work thinking, oh, that looks like crap, you know. So, but again, this is the jug foam. I mean, this is the closed cell foam.
Closed cell foam. And where can they buy that? Do you know?
You can buy it at TG's. You can order it online. There's actually foam supply stores in Austin, where I get mine. You can get it there, but you can order smaller pieces. You can buy it at TG's or you can order it online. Now, to cut this stuff, it's pretty easy to work with. You can just use a regular saw, and you can rough it in with your saw. If you can find a long blade for your jigsaw, this works very well. This is pretty much what I use now to get it shaped. I also use a rasp. A lot of times, you know, this is just a wood rasp, and you can mold it and shape it and make it look pretty. You can see, like on this one, I rasp this down right here. You can see that side. So it's kind of up to you. If your holes aren't quite big enough, if you cut a hole, it's not quite big enough, you can use the rasp to open the hole up a little bit to get your jug in there. For the hole, if you want the holes to look good, you can use a hole saw. Sometimes you want to get a size smaller than what you need for your jug, and then use like the rasp or something to open that hole up so that the jug sits in there. I would say you want to make sure that the jug fits tight, because if you roll your canoe, you don't want the jug coming out. Because you want your gear. It's very important that your gear stays in the boat, as close to possible as the boat. You use a lot of time and energy swimming down the river trying to gather, do a yard sale, basically, gather a yard sale.
Does anybody do like a strap like into the foam to just like hold it
Yes.
over? Some people do.
Yes. Zip ties, extremely important. Take extra zip ties. What I was going to show you here is, this is a strap. I like these straps right here. They're quick disconnect. And you can also buy these, which are really good. These things are just, you can double tie your gear into the boat, whatever. Life jackets, easy to open and get to. I was just going to add, I call this my purse. It wasn't what I called it, but my paddling buddies started calling it my purse. Sometimes it's hard to keep things dry, and so if you have an old jug, you can use it for to keep your gear dry. The things that, a wallet or whatever, so tools, it's easy to get to. Just make sure that it's glued shut, and so, you can open it up, put some bags in there and stuff it down in there. It works great for me.
Just make sure your team captain doesn't pull it out by accident, thinking it's your drink jug.
Yeah, and you can strap it in with a strap or a cable tie. So I just want to emphasize one more time before we move on, the foam flotation is really important. You do not want your boat to sink, and as I said, that's happened to me before. It's not an insurmountable deal, but it is a pain in the butt to get your boat out and get it going again.
Do you come and find a low spot, calm, flip it over to make sure that's enough foam, like before you race? Or is just like probably enough for the jug and a foot that's going to keep it up?
Well, I can tell you that just from experience, this is plus what she's got back there is probably enough. You know, you can just look at this and see. But if you're uncertain about it, it certainly doesn't hurt to take it to flat water somewhere and just try it out. Sink the boat. Make sure that when it's upside down, that it's it's floating above the water. So.
And then try to remount.
Bad practice anyway.
Yeah, practice getting back into it is really good.
Are you doing seat foam too?
I am.
Oh,
yes.
okay, great. I don't want to stop the video. Sorry.
Okay, so moving over, let's talk about the seats a little bit. And I want to tell you that, especially in aluminum, it's really important to get your trim right. In an aluminum, you want the bow to be slightly down. There's kind of this misconception. People see these bass boats running out where they're just running on the transom and the motor. And there's a lot of people that think you want the bow down. Well, the problem with that is when the bow's down in an aluminum canoe, you're basically pushing the water at its widest point. So you want your bow to be slightly down, not buried in the water, but you want the bow of the boat to actually cut the water. So with that said, your seat positioning is really important. It's good to go out with your buddy, your racing partner, have your boyfriend, wives, girlfriends, look at the boat and make sure that you're not sticking up, in the front. And preferably that you're slightly down. It's going to make controlling the boat much easier. And it'll make you much faster too in the long run. So make sure you get your seats, you figure out your proper seat positioning. And then if you're going to be trading, if your partner's going to move to the back and you move to the front, make sure that you look at it both ways so that you kind of have an idea where to pull your seats when you're, when you make that transition. The other thing on seats is before you race, I highly recommend that you make sure that all of your connections are tight and that your pipe, your aluminum pipes are in good shape. They're not cracked or bent. Again, I'll tell you from experience twice, being a bigger guy, you guys probably don't have to worry about it, but I broke 2 seats in 2 different races. The supports broke, and it's hell. It's really hell because you're sitting there wobbling around. You got to figure out how to do it. You put foam or whatever underneath. In both cases, we eventually stopped and got some wire and sticks and rigged something up, but it took time and it detracts from the race. So make sure that all of your seat supports are in good condition, and they may be perfect during all your training runs, but it's definitely something you want to look at before the race. The week before the race, make sure that everything's tight and they're all good. Make sure your seats aren't cracked. Okay, let's talk about foam, seat cushion. So you need to make sure that you're comfortable in the seat because your butt's going to get raw. It's not pleasant when that happens. So make sure that you have seat cushions that are good for you, that you can live with. And I brought some examples here. This is just the stuff, knee pads that you can buy at Academy. This is actually one, believe it or not, this is one that we used in a race a few years ago. I'm gonna hold this. Here's another one, just the Academy. I kind of like this. And I would say with any of these, you can see I've got a lanyard on this one. If it's not glued down, if your seat is not glued down, your seat cushion, make sure that you put some kind of lanyard on it because this stuff floats really well, of course, and so when you flip your boat off, you lose your seat cushion. So here's another one. This is the yoga mat stuff, and this is very popular right now, and I really like it. I'm moving to this personally, and this is the type of stuff they use up in Michigan, and
awesome.
this is really the good stuff right here. This is kind of what the racers are using. And you can glue this right down to your seat. You can see Holly's got that. This is Thermarest. This is also really popular.
Definitely cheaper. So cheap option.
Yes, this is a cheap option. Works good. You can buy it. You can buy all of this at Academy. And this stuff was really popular for a long time, still is, but
Jill.
people are pretty much moving to this right here. You can see
When they restart,
this is
do it
for
from
my
start to
partner.
finish.
He cut a V in here because, and it's something you're going to have to play with to see, because your butt cheeks, excuse my language, they rub together and it gets raw. And he's a big guy, and so I make fun of him for it, but his butt is always getting raw. He's very, he's tough as nails, but when it comes to sitting for, 30, 40 hours, he starts whining like a little baby. So he's got to have the right, you wouldn't want to do that in this boat, but the point is, get low. You're almost, especially at the bay, you're almost done. So the suffering may get a bit more intense as you make that crossing, but it's worth it,
What about on your knees?
You can do that. If you do that, I would recommend putting in some padding there for your knees.
The question is foam for your knees.
Yeah. You could do that.
It's a long way on your knees,
It's a long
honey.
ways on your knees. So, but it might be as you and the wind's really bad. Maybe it's worthwhile to do that to get out of the wind. So definitely a possibility. All right.
Phone's overheating. Sorry.
I wanted to show you what not to use. This is open cell foam. This is a sponge, and your butt is going to be wet. And you really want to keep your butt as dry as possible. So this is nice and soft. Feels good, but it's not going to work in the long run. So don't use this. All right.
Any questions?
Yeah.
No? Okay.
Yeah, that yoga mat, is that a closed cell foam?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah. It works good. My one thing about it is, if you're in a hurry, which you may not be in this boat, but if you're really racing, you get in it, sometimes it's slick and you want to, you kind of slide down. You might want to take some sandpaper or something and kind of rough it up a little bit. But
They also make them for hot yoga that are the closed cell and the non-slip. They're expensive mats. But
Yeah.
I don't know.
well, try it and see. You might have found something that a couple years from now everybody's using. So I recommend that you spend a little time on your butt protection. You got to do that. Make sure, again, I'll go back and stress, you got to make sure that your seat positioning is good too. So I'm just going to spend a moment here. I'm going to talk
I'm gonna stay
about.
out of your way.
I'm sorry, Patty.
I'm so sorry.
I want to talk about your light mounts. This is a ball mount. These are very popular right now. Back in the day when I started, there was all kind of rigs there. I recommend this ball mount. It's really the best. But if you put something up here, if you put some sort of mount on here, you want it to be able to kind of break away. Unless it's just mounted, some people will put foam and then they'll put their light in the foam. That's okay. It's right down with the profile of the boat. If you stick something up above the boat, you want to make sure that it can fall back. Put some bungees so that it can fall back, because there's a lot of places you're going to be going through trees and you just can't avoid it. You're laying back, and again, from experience, if you lose your boat light, it's not fun. So you want that boat light to be secure, and if it's up high, you want to make sure that it's able to fall back. I would attach a lanyard to the light itself, but make sure that it's not rigid, on a rigid pole sticking up here, that it can't fall away. You can also get PVC and kind of cut it out so that it'll grip onto this thwart here, and then once it grips on, it'll roll back too. And I used to do that. Just put a little piece of pipe, a little stand-up PVC pipe, and then if I hit something, it would just lay back in the boat. The light itself would lay back in the boat. All right, let's talk about rivets and snaps. So this is a perfect boat. Holly does beautiful spray skirts. And here's the snaps. And again, make sure that you put your spray skirt on the boat at some point before you cross the bay. Really important.
Need to test it out, or
Yes, to test it out, make sure it fits. make sure all the snaps are good. And one thing about a spray skirt is make sure that you get it wet before you try to get it on there. It's impossible if it's dry. You gotta, when you pull it out of the dry bag, you gotta put it in the water, get it wet, and then snap it on. And down before you cross the bay is really hard. Your hands are gonna be soft, they're gonna be sore. So make sure that you're working with your partner to get it on. Start at one end and move forward. So I wanted to show you, and again, I apologize if I'm talking to you guys or mechanics or machinists or whatever. This is a rivet gun, okay? And these are rivets here. And very simple mechanism. You take the rivet gun, you put it in if you want to rivet something to the boat, and you pull the rivet through. Very simple. But the one thing, let's just say you popped a snap off and you got to replace a snap. Now, I've got replacement snaps here for my boats, and so it's really easy to do. You take, let's say this snap was off, you just put the replacement on there, you take the rivet and you stick the rivet through, put the rivet gun on and pull it through. Let's just look at that real quick. All right, we're done doing my rivet.
Once James finds the rivet, we will walk you through it. There are alternatives to spray skirts if you do not have rivets and snaps. Just FYI, you can find some of that on Holly's Paddle with Style page.
So this rivet goes in here, you just feed it in, put the rivet, feed that through there, and then you put it down. And what happens is this ball, you guys, I don't know if you're familiar with the way rivets work, but basically it will pull down and it will snap the rivet onto the end of the boat, and this will break off. So you can look up online, how to do that. But here's the kicker. Here's what you need to know. This head on this rivet gun, when you buy them, you have different ones you can use for different size rivets. But here's what a lot of people don't get, is none of these will fit down in there into that snap. So what you get is you get a loose snap. You want that to be tight. So what you have to do is take a file, or if you got a grinder or a bench grinder, and you want to file this down so that you can get that head into that snap and you can get your rivet tight. So it's just one of those things, and the reason you want it tight is, number one, you don't want any water ingress while you're out in the bay, but if it's loose, it's more likely to break off as you brush against trees and stuff like that, which you're gonna do, So make sure to modify your rivet gun. All right, one final thing I want to tell you, and then you guys can go. So, we're all required to carry Garmins. This is just and again, there's 1,000 different ways to do this, okay? But you want to make sure that your Garmin is in a place that, number one, it's not going to get knocked off, and that it can be read. So for this little thing, I rigged this up, and what I do is, this is a square thwart, but what I do is I put that on there, and it rides like that. With these zip ties, if I hit something, it rolls back, So again, I just modified some foam. I attached the lanyard to it anyways in case it all comes off. So
and you always want it facing the sky.
You always, yeah.
Yeah.
So on my boat, I have round thwarts. So like this, you can see, I would never put it up here because it's right in the way. I'd put it in the middle of the boat. But if I hit something, it just rolls around like that, and then we can just kick it back up, so.
Any questions for James? And then you guys can, of course, look at stuff, right?
Yeah,
if
absolutely.
needed. Yeah.
And if you have questions, come back and talk.
You're
Again, I just say there's, my way is my way. There's other ways to do it, and I always see people who rig their boats differently. So,
come out to races and look at other people's rigging.
Very good,
right?
Patty.
Yeah.
That's right. So,
Yeah.
yep.
Thanks. Okay, so if you guys want to move across to lighting, straight across the way, that would be great.
James, what's your last?